Good morning. I picked up the trucker magazine at the Petro this morning and read it through while I was having breakfast, and the one article that just jumps out at me is this business about Mike Boglin. He was the truck driver that worked for Mawson and Mawson that was delivering at Corp in Detroit in the wee small hours of the morning, and he was shot and killed there, parked outside Corp's facility because they wouldn't let him on the property at 2 a.m. and the place is in the middle of a ghetto. What a tragedy, you know. And this happens an awful lot. Not murders so often due to this, but trouble with having these shippers and receivers in very bad neighborhoods, and you know, at best guys get mugged or beat up or have their equipment damaged, and at worst things like what's happened to Mike Boglin here. And there's no need for it. It's preventable. Now the government will spend untold hundreds of millions every year to keep their military people safe. But are truck drivers and citizens not a priority? It would be easy and fairly cost effective to keep the truck drivers safe, but it's just not on their radar. But it's on our radar, and so it should be. Now all sorts of people have jumped on this bandwagon and said, oh well, if Mike had had a gun he would have been able to protect himself. I don't know one way or the other, you know, and every situation is different. And you and I will never know whether he could have saved himself with a gun, but one thing is certain: the guys that killed him got their guns from somewhere, and probably not a retail store. So arming the truck drivers, I don't know if that's the answer or not. But one thing certainly jumps out in this story, and that is the fact that we as truck drivers lack safe places to stay and sleep. Some of the places we pick up and deliver are not in very nice areas, yet you know, it's still part of what we have to do for a living. I almost wonder when I look at this if Mawson and Mawson, the trucking company that Mike worked for, shouldn't be held partially liable for making this poor bugger a 2 a.m. appointment at a place in a ghetto. Like, why are you even doing business with people like that? Krupp is a huge corporation, multi-million dollars. They could certainly put enough money into building a secure parking lot for their incoming and outgoing trucks, but it's not a priority for them either. And seeing that I believe companies like Mawson and Mawson should just say, well, if you want us in there, it'll be in daylight hours only, and we'll run in there for a short time, but you need to improve your facility because it's hazardous, and we want our people safe and we want our people secure, even when they're outside the perimeter of your facility. We don't care what you have to do. Complain to council to get police presence stepped up in that neighborhood, but it's not safe for our guys in there, and we care about our guys. How much of this was Mike's fault? Well, honestly, probably some. Would I have taken a delivery in there at 2 in the morning? Not a hope. But you know, who knows what position Mike was in. Perhaps Mike just had to have the money. He needed the money. He was fairly new there. He'd had 8 years in or something like that, so he's, you know, fairly low on the pole, I guess. And that's why he took the load, or he felt the loads were good paying loads. I read that somewhere, so he decided to take the chance on them. But you know, it cost him his life. Was that worth it? Was that worth it to his wife and kids? Not ever was that worth it. So we need to look at these type of things, but primarily none of this would have happened if Krupp was in a safe place for the trucks to come and go. It's all completely preventable, and they certainly had the money to make it safe. They certainly had the ability to make it safe. They just never saw the need to make it safe, and that's the problem here. And they need to be held liable in this situation for expecting their trucks to run in and out of there through a ghetto in the middle of the night just to get them their damn aluminum. It's not right. It's far from right. Trucking companies shouldn't go in there at all. They'll continue to, because money is the all-important god in this world, and it's so important to the point they risk truck drivers' lives. And it's not just them. Every day it happens all over North America, and life is expendable just for the sake of dollars, and that's crazy. This has got to stop. The FMCSA say they've been looking at this problem of safe parking and lack of. Well, they've been looking at it for 14 years now. Do you think maybe it might be time to come to a solution and do something about it, or just sit around the political table and chew the fat for another 10 years and accomplish absolutely nothing? It's incredibly ridiculous. Our taxpayers are paying for this. We need to be safe. We deserve to be kept safe. This is just completely unacceptable. We ought to be ashamed. Jason Rivenberg, another name which in recent memory was murdered because he couldn't find a safe place to park. The lesson here primarily is for the drivers. Just don't go into places that you don't feel comfortable and you don't feel safe. Just refuse. Refuse the load, or just find a safe place to park for the night and then go in the next day in daylight. And if you've missed the appointment, oh well. There'll be another appointment, but it's certainly not worth getting killed over. No company is worth getting killed for. No freight is worth getting killed for. How do you think your family would feel if something like that happened? And we all take chances, but some chances are avoidable. And this is one of those big deals when you can completely eliminate the risk and just don't go. It's just not worth it. Don't do it. Refuse the load, or stay back until it's safe to go into the place. And you can get in and out guaranteed in daylight hours. If you can't, they can find another way to get their freight, but it's not worth your life. Not to you, not to your family.